Another episode of Joy Made Millionaire, episode number 8. We had an interesting one last week where we didn't go live. There were a couple of reasons for this. I was a little under the weather. I'm feeling a little bit better right now, but I was just waiting for my Instagram stream to also go live. We were at a company retreat for Best Page Forward, and it was an absolute blast. And it was so perfect because I got to really talk about hiring the right people and hiring for joy and making sure that the kind of folks who gravitate towards you, and this does not just have to be in people that work with you, like people that you're hiring, people that you're paying money. This can also be people who buy your things, people who purchase your products, people who read your books. You can attract the right kind of people for that. It's not easy, it takes time, but it's absolutely doable. And you too can make sure that the people surrounding you are joyful people. Joy, it's never going to be perfect. As I take out a cough drop here, the voice isn't always going to be perfect, but it's never necessarily going to be perfect. But if you make sure that that is a qualification, if you make sure that it is something you actually value, that you really and truly want, people who are lined up with you, people who want to read you and want to do it joyfully and want to work with you and want to do it joyfully, you will have those kind of people. Hey to Melinda. I see Melinda in here. Hey to Harrington and Angelica and Becca and Richard. Really happy to see everybody. Feel free to let me know you're here. If you are watching on the YouTubes, the Instagrams, or wherever this thing happens to be. And I'm glad to be back here live because today I'm going to be talking about something related to consistency. I felt a bit of a pang of sadness that I wasn't able to do the live stream last week, but part of that was because I had a lot on that schedule for the Wednesday, and it is very, very difficult sometimes to make sure that you stay consistent when you are a very, very busy person. I am running a 7-figure business. I am looking at expanding us in various ways. I am meeting with potential clients. I am chatting with potential partners on a regular basis. And I've had people ask me over the years, Brian, how on earth do you keep this going? How on earth do you do all the things that you do? Part of it is the wonderful people. There's people here like Barbara and Nikki and Brenda, who I am seeing. I also see Rachel and Kyle and Nova's Wish here. So welcome to the live stream. Why have I been able to do this in the midst of all the other things that are going on, in the midst of life, in the midst of, in July, we got flooded out of our house, in the midst of birthday parties, wonderful things for the 9-year-old. How do we keep it going? So, first of all, a nice sip of tea helps. But secondly, every day needs time for your mental health. Every single day. It cannot be negotiable, y'all. We immediately push away things that do not seem like they can be priorities in our lives. We immediately push away the exercise, the talking to our friends, the all of these wonderful things, the meditation, the listening to motivating music or audio or watching motivating videos, we push these away first because they don't seem urgent. And maybe they aren't urgent. Maybe they're just important. And if we go to the old Stephen Covey, aka Eisenhower matrix of the four quadrants, we know that there is a quadrant for not urgent but important things. And this is the quadrant of growth. This is the quadrant of improvement. This is the quadrant of scaling. This is the quadrant where the big growth happens, in quadrant 2, not urgent but important. And that is why things like daily mindset work are so incredibly important. What does daily mindset work look like? It's going to be different for every single person on this earth, but it is going to be something that calms your nervous system, that helps you to regulate, that helps you to feel like you can control your emotions, something that helps with that practice. For some people, it is something centering. For some people, it is something that is allowing them to breathe and be calm. And for some people, it is the exact opposite. They need to move their bodies. They need to dance. They need to exercise. They need to punch a bag, or they need to punch a person, only in boxing and kickboxing, I hope, not in other places. But folks, if you are trying to figure out, trying to find something that will help you calm that nervous system, look backwards, look to your past, look to something that is going to help you to get back to neutral when you are over the line, when you have gotten to the point that you are not regulated. You need something every day, not urgent, but very important, to help keep you regulated. Now, that's just kind of part of the process, because you can't just focus on being neutral. You can't just focus on being status quo. And I know if some of you haven't been regulated for 10 years, and I appreciate you watching, but if you have not been regulated for some time, getting to the point where you have a regular practice where you're getting back to neutral, getting back to feeling okay, that is still a step in the right direction. Let's please take that step. And so if anybody here is like, Brian, I have been meaning to get back into X, Y, or Z, why don't you take a moment to pop into the chat what that practice could be? Something that prioritizes getting from unhealthy emotion or negative emotion to a baseline. So I see people here. I know people are in the chat. So definitely let me know if something comes to mind as I see more people joining in. Go, and I saw people leave the live stream. It's like, oh, Brian's making me want to do stuff. I better leave. But I highly recommend you do some of this stuff, because just osmosing, just listening isn't going to do it. So I highly recommend you have something every single day that takes you from negative, that takes you from the other side of the line back across the line, back to neutral. Kathleen says she uses prayer. I think that is a perfect thing. If you are religiously inclined, even if you're not, prayer can absolutely help take you back to neutral. So I love that answer. Folks, definitely, if you have a thing that has worked for you in the past, even if it worked for you as a kid, even if it worked for you as a teenager, go back to it. It works. You're different than you are now, but you are still part of some of the same substance. So remember that. Okay. Now, we've talked about going from, I'm getting a couple answers in here now. Brenda says avoiding social media in the morning. Love that. Lucia says Tai Chi. 30 minutes every morning before writing, and then writing a letter to God every day. I love this. I love this practice. Um, Deborah says 5 minutes a day, meditation and visualization. And I think that we could all use a little bit more of that in our lives. I absolutely agree. So we now have some ideas here, and hopefully you've come up with some ideas at home that can help get us from the negative side of the line to the positive side of the line. Now, we need to go further. We need to go beyond just neutral, just status quo. Even going to neutral puts us in the top 10% of the world, my friends. You are, even just by getting yourself to neutral, I don't know if you've noticed, but in this world, there are some emotionally immature people. And so, even just getting to the point of emotional maturity, even just getting to the point of neutral is still going to take you to a good place. Let's talk about getting to an even better place. We don't want to just be in the top 10%. We want to be in the top 1% of the 1%. What is that going to require? That's going to require taking yourself from neutral to elevated. How do you get to elevated? So we can get to neutral. How do we get to the joyous state? How do we get to the same level of happiness when my daughter is giggling and playing around instead of brushing her teeth in the morning? How do we get to there? How do we get to that as an adult, as a grown up human being trying to make it in a occasionally harsh and difficult world? We need a practice for getting to joy. We need a practice for getting to that next step. And so that too is going to be different for every person, but we've covered a few of these kind of things over the course of the last 7 episodes. I've talked about how, for me, dancing around my house to happy major key music has helped me to be at a higher level. I've talked about how things like making sure you are taking care of yourself, getting to sleep on time, getting the healthy food is going to help allow you for these things to kind of get you to the next level. But you need to think about what is something you can do to go beyond a smile today. We need a belly freaking laugh. We need to figure out what is it that we can do to make you feel like you are overflowing with joy. And I'm not saying, and I want you to make sure you don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying you need to be fake happy. I'm not saying you need to be happy all the time. I'm trying to see, can we get a daily practice into your life, singing at the top of your lungs, dancing around the house, looking at your 5-star product reviews, looking at the people who have taken your courses, watched your videos, seen your emails, and they have taken that to go to just an incredible new height in your life. And can you feel that deep goodness? Can you talk to the people in your lives who make you feel that way? What can you do to inspire, not just neutral, not just getting from emotionally challenged to another whole place? What are you going to do? So I would like you to write down some of those in the chat. I would like you to think about it. And if you are not already reaching that, can you do something more? Can you do something beyond what you have done? And I see Christine in here, and RC, and Nobes, and some other wonderful folks sneaking in and out of here. As you guys think about that one, I want to go back to some of my top 10 ways to help you to feel more joy in your business. So, something I have tried to do on a regular basis, especially, I will especially do this as the weather gets warmer here in the spring, is to take my laptop on a field trip. So many of us in this world of solopreneurship, in this world of authorpreneurship, we are absolutely stuck at home. And we think, oh, well, I can only be efficient if I spend 6 hours in this room not moving. Not the healthiest for our body, but I understand kind of where we come from on this. But folks, you are allowed to go to the coffee shop. You are allowed to head to a park. You are allowed, and this is a big one, get a staycation at a hotel for a burst of productivity. I'm a big fan of advertising. Best Page Forward runs ads for 5, 6, and 7-figure authors, and we absolutely use and recommend using rewards credit cards. And if you use a reward credit card long enough, you get enough points, you can absolutely go and use those points for a staycation. You don't even need to travel far. And you can use them for a staycation to see if that can help you to do what you need to do to get the work done. And sometimes just getting out of your house, feeling that air on your face, doing all sorts of stuff there is going to help you to feel better. It's going to help you to feel more joy. So, I love this. Peggy is in here. She says, I've spent the last year tuning my processes to work for me while it brings me joy during my work. It's amazing. I love this. Look, Peggy, we connected at one of our retreats in North Carolina, and I loved getting to chat with you. And I could see the joy in you, but I saw that also the writing and the marketing and everything was getting you down. So I'm so happy that you are changing things around, changing the routine for the purpose of joy. So I love that you're doing that. Peggy also says, I am new to tapping. Oh, I love tapping. I can't really do it that well with my wrist guards on. I love some tapping. Definitely a big fan. EFT, emotional freedom technique. This is a great way. I think that's a great way to go from stress to neutral. Big fan of EFT. I would highly recommend it. I'm noticing not that many people have been posting. What is that? Oh, I'm so glad. Peggy says, that retreat was the turning point for me. Music to my ears. This is what I was talking about, guys, with talk to your people. Talk to the people whose lives you've helped and changed. And I'm so grateful that we connected there, Peggy, to help you to grow. It's very happy. I feel happy. Thank you. I feel the warm feeling. And I'm noticing I'm not getting that many comments about what is the thing you can do every day to bring you from neutral to joy. So here's what we're going to do for homework. Is this the only podcast where you get homework? I don't know. I am here to do it because I want you to really think about this. I want you to brainstorm. I want you to consider if you come up with 5 ideas, at least one of them is probably going to be at least halfway decent. 5 ways that you can go from neutral to extremely happy. Is it running through the streets? Is it dancing around your house? Is it calling your bestie? What is it? You're allowed to have this. I think so many cultural things, gender things, religious things are telling us happiness is for kids. It's not for adults. Happiness is for them. It's not for me. And that is a bunch of BS. That is a bunch of BS. You're allowed to be happy. I want you to find ways to get this into your schedule, into your routine on a regular basis. Take you from here to the stratosphere. I want you to be happier. So your homework, come back here, write it down. 5 ways you can go from neutral to way more than neutral. Folks, joymademillionaire.com is where you can get our 10 ways to add more joy to your business. We're growing on Instagram. We're trying to get to the point where we can do this live stream on Joy Made Millionaire's Instagram instead of just Best Page Forward. So just look up Joy Made Millionaire on Instagram and follow us. And I want to give a big shout out to everyone at Best Page Forward who came last week and was the first ever live audience for Joy Made Millionaire in person. And hopefully at some point we will be able to have a live Joy Made Millionaire with hundreds of people all shouting out joyful things that they're doing in their lives to grow their businesses. And that's all I've got for today. So thank you so much for watching and or listening to the show. I'm Brian from Joy Made Millionaire and Best Page Forward. I hope you have just a fantastic week trying to take you from be lower than neutral to neutral, and then neutral to joyful, because when you get to joyful, when you get there consistently, guess what happens? The money goes up. I hope you have an amazing, amazing rest of your day, and we will be back here next week for the next episode. Take good care, everybody. Bye, everyone. Thank you.